I guess this is it. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We got anybody online? Stephanie?
Yeah, we got Deb, Sarah, Kylo, and Bianca.
Oh, great. Okay. Like to call this planning and committee meeting to order. This is Planning and Development Committee March 15th at 9 a.m. Anybody have any late items for the agenda? No, all good. Deb, you're good?
All good.
Okay. All righty. Approval of the agenda. Recommended that the Planning Development Committee meeting agenda for March 15th, 2023 be approved and circulated. Have a mover. John, seconder. Deb, thank you. Adoption of the minutes. Recommended that the minutes of the Planning and Development Committee hang on here. Yeah, meeting held on March 1st be adopted. And I have a mover, seconder. Deb, thank you. All right, take it away there, Scott. I think, is that you? Planning and Development Service Update.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So these are the current applications. Managed to get rid of that Northern Court one that was on at the top. They don't really need one anymore because they're just doing internal changes. So they withdrew their application. A couple more that are bold will be coming off after the meeting on the 22nd. Reached out to some of these applicants and prodded them to continue moving. So we'll see. But yeah, any questions, we can answer them.
Okay. Yeah, no, I did. The only body I reached out to was Pancash. And he's still planning on moving forward, but he's not planning on working with BC Housing.
Okay.
He said it's just too complicated, but he does plan on moving forward.
All right.
That was the only body I talked to. All right, Deb?
Yeah, just with the McLean McPherson, Ian had brought up last time about whether we could get circulated on the package that went out for within the community for referral. Are we going to get that?
Yeah, and I don't think so. Like, we probably jumped the gun a bit on sending it out. Just the drawings we got were like the stock A&W drawings, and the site plan didn't reflect what they're doing. So really, the application wasn't complete. We probably should have held off on sending it out. So when we have everything, though, we'll get it out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? All right, well, moving forward, new business. Old Town Road civic addressing. Who's going to take that one away? Sarah?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Martin. I'm the planner with the District of Sicamous. For those listening in online over YouTube later on, this particular project is in regards to civic addressing on Old Town Road. So as you may be aware, we recently adopted a brand shiny new civic addressing and road naming bylaw to help us with as we develop and have subdivisions, get new road dedications, etc. So for this particular project, I do have a recommendation that I would love to see from the PDC to council regarding Old Town Road and considering renaming the road and renumbering the streets to help us accommodate subdivision and future development out there. Next slide, please. So this is what it currently looks like as far as civic addressing. So the Trans-Canada Highway is down at the bottom of the screen there. So it starts out 1400 to 1500 along Sicamous Road. And then right here in the curve, as we keep heading up, this is where it turns into Old Town Road. And the numbering drops down and continues to drop down until we hit this kind of arbitrary point in Old Town Road where it turns into Old Town Road West and it restarts again from 50 to 295. So you can kind of see here. So the new parcels that have kind of prompted this are right here. We're all familiar with this. We've talked about this a few times. Where the star is. Next slide. So this is a current road naming. Trans-Canada Highway, Solstice Coos Road. It takes this very sharp right turn. Sure. And so it continues on as Old Town Road, and here's where it turns into Old Town Road West. No kind of clear indication that a road name would change. Next slide. So if you read my memo, it does talk about best practices in terms of how roads should be named and how they should be addressed. And this reflects what's in our new bylaw. So this would be what I would suggest after having a good look at this. And I did actually reach out to the CSRD because it does partially affect them a little bit because Solstice Road heads off into electoral area E, CSRD. So I would recommend renaming the portion of Solstice Road that starts at the Trans-Canada Highway and flows up to that intersection as Old Town Road, and just continue all of Old Town Road as Old Town Road, rather than having 3 different names on a road that there's no stop signs on, basically, just drive along it. Next slide. And then this is what I would suggest for readdressing. So this won't affect the folks that are on the portion of Solstice Road that we'd be renaming. Their addresses would stay the same, but they would have a new road name. And then from there, we would proceed logically heading out towards the bay. And this also allows us to, should there be future road dedication heading out into, say, the regional district, or we do a boundary extension at some point, we'll still have numbers available to keep going, heading off in that direction. So in the short term, this would resolve our issue with this one little subdivision. And in the long term, we'll address future development out at Old Town Bay, which we all know we're hoping for.
Yeah.
So next slide. And this would be recommendation. And I leave it open for discussion through the chair.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Go ahead there, Scott.
Just one thing, Dad, we were kind of hoping Brian would be here because he lives on the road and he'd be affected. We could get his opinion. One thing I thought of is if someone's going to Old Town Marina, everybody knows it in Old Town Road, but like having a sign on the highway that says Old Town Road, your next left or whatever, right, and which direction you're coming from, then that would make it more clear for people getting out there.
Yeah.
But we have found when we've changed people's addresses, they're very sensitive to it. So I think like our next step will be some community consultation before we bring it back to council. So we want to make sure that everybody's well aware of it, and hopefully we can help ease that burden on them, that, you know, because they'll have to change a number of things, credit cards, driver's license, all that. So.
Okay, interesting. Okay, great. Thank you, Scott. Go ahead there, Deb.
Yeah, I agree with Scott. So my only comment would be on Martin Street, I actually had to change people's addresses twice that were like kind of at the one end because of adding trailers, and fire department, whatever, was adamant that I had to renumber that. I had some people really pissed off at me when they had to do it twice. So I think if we can just do, like Scott says, whatever we can to help facilitate for them in terms of, you know, like this is all the things you have to change and only do it once, then, you know, people won't be happy. It's a pain in the butt, but if you got to do it, you got to do it. Just let's make sure we only do it once.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Deb. John, go ahead.
Is there a suggestion of like a big cost to switching the addresses, like through if we actually have to go like BC assessment and stuff like that? Does that matter, or is that all in-house type thing? They go by lot plan.
It's all paperwork, right? It's just, it's a series of letters, right? So we would probably, the letters that we would draft to the homeowners, we would CC BC assessment, and what's the other one? Sorry, my brain is blanking.
Well, there's the post office. There's just, there's a lot. So
BC Hydro is a very important one.
Yeah.
They would be key. And then there's a separate process for notifying emergency services. So the CSRD manages that program as far as where the ambulance or the fire department gets their maps and information from to do these visits. And this is part of the reason why this is so important is for that program, because there's a big change coming in BC where BC and across Canada, they're changing to a new software service that provides that information through TELUS, and it's called the NG911. So there's actually a lot more going on in the background in terms of like we're having our address layer rebuilt to start to get that ready because that will go to the province to be disseminated. And the other portion is an update of our row name layers. We need to like make sure that all our center lines are accurate for that program. So there's a bunch of other work going on. But yeah, in terms of notification, yeah, there's a couple different processes. That's how that would work.
I like the idea of having the numbers continue proper in one row. It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we obviously do need to notify and get public input on that one because that's gonna be a lot of people. And like Deb said, make sure we get it all right the first time.
I know one of the thoughts I had, but I mean, it would take, discussion with council and financials, like maybe we have some sort of program to help with like at least the numbers so people can replace their numbers or provide, the posts with the numbers on them, if that makes sense. I've seen other cities do that more around for emergency response because I guess there's been issues where you can't actually see the number. So yeah, different programs where numbers are provided and posts for the end of the driveway.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I guess, the gist of it is we're at the end of halfway through Old Town Road now because the new development's going to start and we don't have any more. We're at zero when we hit the gate, the old federated gate there. That's where the gate used to be and it was all bush beyond there. And, people thought that was the end of town, but actually the end of town goes out and is there one or two properties at the far end? There's lots in that subdivision, Clinton Stand subdivision, but there's one more at the very far end.
More at the very far end, that little L-shaped one.
Yeah, and he's in the district.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we should do some homework on this and I guess we don't have the Canby Salt Squaw Bridge anymore. We have a Old Town Bridge now.
Yeah.
A new town bridge? Yeah, okay. I don't have that recommendation here. Do I need to read that recommendation? Okay, I guess I do have to read that, but make a motion that the Planning Development Committee recommend that council direct staff to review the civic addressing for Old Town Road West, and Canby Salt Squaw Road north-south and provide recommendations to ensure an adequate supply of civic addresses for existing and future development. And I have a mover. Deb, seconder, John. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's because you're gonna end up with, you could end up with 1,200 addresses out there, I guess, if it built out like it was supposed to. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, moving on, new business, active transportation plan. Is this Sarah or Steffi, Scott?
I can take this.
You can start it. Okay, thank you.
So really we're collecting information from the committee and we've also put it out to council to collect any changes at the last council meeting or at the last committee, the whole meeting. Then the active transportation plan was presented by Ian, who's the traffic engineer from Urban Systems who helped us put the plan together. And ultimately the plan is a document that we'd like to use in order to get grant funding. Ministry of Transportation has money available for building pathways and active transportation routes. And one of the requirements to access their capital funding to actually build things to have this plan done. So they're just not throwing money the door and not knowing that, you know, the community's been consulted and that someone's actually looked at where things are needed. So that's what this plan is for, you know, to identify some projects that require funding. And then we can use this document once it's adopted by council to go after some of that funding. And there's a list of priority projects. I think that's the main one. I think there's 12 projects. It's not really important where they are on the on the list. So number 1 to 12, you know, council is ultimately going to identify a project that's important to them and ultimately budget some money to those projects. So I don't think it matters that, like, you know, number 1 is the waterfront pathway, where number 6, if there's that shoulder and there's that opportunity on Capel to paint the shoulder, you know, during the paving of the road, then council can choose to follow, to go down that path or road if they choose to. And then there's the map, which is the other part. We're trying to identify where there's connectivity and connectivity is needed. But yeah, I guess today we're hoping to get some feedback. I think we've seen this a couple times, and yeah, we're looking for feedback and feedback from council, and hopefully bring this back to council in April for adoption. The project should end like on the end of March is when our contract with Urban Systems is up. They're pretty much done, and you know, we can make some couple changes to these documents. We can still tweak it, but really whatever we need to do, we really have to get it done by the end of March, or after we start paying out of pocket to Urban Systems to complete it.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Sarah, Stephanie, you guys are good? Okay, I mean, I did some screenshot to you yesterday there, Scott. I'll give you my shots. I don't know, do you want to go over them now, or do you want to just keep accepting everybody's information? Is that what you like?
Yeah, we can talk about some of the changes, or we can just keep accepting people's information. And I think like the ones you've identified, I think like we can add those in. We also have our Parks and Trails master plan, which is kind of a separate document that we're kind of using. And that one is like an inventory of everything that exists, and then hopefully some recommendations will come out with that. And that'll look at, you know, parks and boat launches and things like that. The active transportation network plan, they used to call them a commuter bicycle plan. That's what they used to call them. And they were focused on bikes and people getting to and from work on bikes. And then Ministry of Transportation kind of realized that, you know, want to expand it a little bit to include all types of active transportation, so walking and skateboarding, and then also to include some recreation in it. So I think our Parks and Trails master plan is more focused on recreation and parks and recreation, while this one is more focused on active transportation. And that's why I think Urban Systems is involved, is because their transportation engineers are experts in it, and that's the advice we're getting from them. But yeah, most of the projects you've identified some future projects, which obviously aren't on the ground right now, so probably that's why they were captured. But we can include some of them. Yeah, I don't, and then you've just indicated the projects that are important to you, so we could bump those up to short-term projects as well. But yeah, if you want to talk about them or not. You had some questions about the DCCs and things, which yeah, we'll have to look for some answers on those.
Okay, I could actually just use the pointer and run through just real quickly on what I thought was kind of important.
Want to go to the map?
Yeah, just go to there's 2 maps, and I just, there's a couple of new ones on here that I put on here. And I think let's maybe start at Old Town. Start out at Old Town. And yeah, so you got the proposed one there. This one's kind of already there, and this one's a new one that is going to be put in here. And a lot of folks and a lot of fishermen and fisher persons, I met a girl out there the other day. They walk all the way out to Murdoch Point, and they fish out there all the time. So it's kind of a, you know, and Gordon Matthew told me, and I didn't believe it, but this is where Old Town was, where they had all the sawmills and everything back in the 1800s or whatever it was, late 1800s. There was a rail spur that went up all the way out that way, rail spur, and that's flat as a pancake all the way out to Murdoch Bush. So just a little tidbit on that one. We also have, when we get down into Silver Sands area, and you got it on here. I think you put it on here already. Yeah, this one here, a lot of people sometimes don't go on there because it's pretty, it's sandy and it's tough for seniors to walk on edge, but this is a great path along here, and it's very quiet subdivision, so that's a good one. One of the ones that will go onto the highway here, well, this is good right here. Thanks. Shane's actually done a little bit of a trail all the way through here, and maybe there's something we can talk to him about when he does his, depends what they do with that, with the intersection. But it would be nice if we could, it goes all the way to about here, and right now, if you look at this portion, this is something that we should maybe, when we do our community cleanup, we've done a little bit of here in the bush along here. But if we could get this cleaned up just right around the high school there to the intersection to where the sidewalk ends, that's a great route all the way that joins up at Blondie's, and so you'll have both sides of the highway covered. So Shane has done some work in there all the way along there. Is that right, John?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks really good. Getting on the other side of the channel, this traverse is a really big one. I'm not sure how we come. Do we have to have an agreement with those folks up there in the hill to get from the traverse down through into the rail trail?
We would have to have an agreement with any property owners, and I know the Trail Lines is pursuing this to figure out how to get. They're losing their access to the Trans-Canada.
Yeah.
So they are looking at getting access down to the rail trail, or at least to Old Small Machine Road.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, the amount of people that take that traverse in the summertime that come over and, they ride into town and go to mooses. You see them all they're in there with their bikes and everything. So a lot of people take that route. I don't know many people that go both ways, but they all go one way. Somebody picks them up on this end. So that's kind of neat. So what else did I have? Canoe launch, you got that one in there. Is there one out by the golf course? Is there any way I know that the Shuswap Trail Lines did a Blue Ways Blue Ways project, and it would be nice at the golf course. Where am I here? The golf course is out here. Is to somehow, this is actually highways, and they used to be an old wage scale there, so there's a big flat apron there, and it's got, of course, it's got no post bullets. You can't get in there. But we could make a deal with Rick at the golf course, because his parking lot's full, is to somehow have a launch there, because that's the one we have in our park at Silver Sands. It's just kind of a little bit short of a route, where if you could get to the golf course, it's amazing how much longer that is. And that's a good too.
And that is one of the recommendations for the Parks and Trails Master Plan. I think right now we have Blue Wave paddle access points or something.
Yeah.
And that identifies 3 access points in Sycamoose. But then we're recommending to identify more and work towards it.
Yeah, it's neat to see all those paddleboards and kayaks on the river. There's lots of them walking down the river. Okay, now let's move on to, so yeah, we'll double check some of Shuswap Trail Alliance trails, because I know they have like 120 trails in them.
Yeah.
They do focus on some of the trails in Sycamoose.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look at those. Let's look at 2 Mile if we could. Got bumps them all over the map. And Sycamoose Creek Trail. Yeah, we got the loop in there. There is a loop, and it's a long loop. It's not long. I've taken it by bicycle, and it goes around and comes out at our old, all head parking lot. So that's kind of a unique, mountain bike loop that, people can do. It's about a 2-hour ride. And it's not in the municipality, kind of outside the south, but it starts and ends in the municipality. And it's actually a forestry service road, an old forestry service road. And what they did was when the fire was up there, they opened it up quite a bit. So it's really opened up in there now. So it's it's a nice bike ride. I had a friend come over from Australia and he was killed him. But it's just a, it's a tough ride, but it's a good mountain bike ride. Sure. Okay, and then 2 miles, somehow, how can we get, like, we have a lot of residents, and I happen to notice it now because I'm up at the dump, is where I'm working. So many residents are walking up the hill and they come up. Can we give notice to highways, like a crosswalk or somehow to get the residents up to the dump road? Because we have a little bit of a problem. We have a little 2-mile bridge, which is narrow. And they have to cross that. But is there any way we could do some kind of markers on the highway to slow traffic? Because it's important for those people. There's a lot of people that actually walk here and go all the way around and come back into Baden and down into town that way. Yeah, this is just a question that is there any way we can have some kind of, I know we're not going to get a flashing light there, but it would be nice to have some kind of highways know that it's a because those people are kind of cut off. They can't walk to town. And this is the only opportunity for them to walk to town because they're afraid to walk. Yeah. So just something to think about. Other than that, just the channel. I think I don't know, does it matter? Do we need to put all the boat launches in there? We had let me just see, did we have 2 mile? 2 mile, we have that boat launch at Waterways, which isn't marked on there. Or at Sick Moose Houseboats. Let me just go back to 2 miles, just real quick. When we talk about Montcalm and this new walkway, should we get that in there and marked in there? I'm thinking, and then we talked about with Grayson having a walkway back up this way. Is that?
Definitely, we could. I guess it just hasn't been formalized in any way yet. So, but that would, I mean, I think Steffi can definitely come on her plan, but we could mark them on this plan as well. Yeah.
I just noticed that last meeting, when it was the last one when we had them in a couple of meetings ago, when we had Grayson in there, there was a big thing about the beach. It's always been a park, and I think it's dedicated already. And that we should probably mark it as a walkway. And that way it's really well established. Yeah, so that's good for 2 mile. Flocky Beach Trail. And then just so yeah, boat launch. Yeah, you got that there. Oh, you already put it. I didn't have it on mine. Yeah, you already got that one. Okay, and then down we have Capel boat launch. That one, we have one at Martin Street as well there. And we have one at Temple there. We got one under the bridge, and we got one at Old Town Day, I think. That one. We're good there. And then just on the channel, and I know we did talk about it, and I know there's a couple of the developers in town that are really worried about waterfront walkway. And I just wondered if you guys could do some homework, a little bit of homework on the Kelowna boat launch, how that traffic moves there. Like I've taken pictures of it. It's well marked. It's way busier than any of our boat launches. Kelowna only has 2 boat launches in the community of that many people, and that boat launch is the busiest one I've ever seen. And there's people on skateboards, rollerblades, everything. They're going back and forth, and it works. Where some of our businesses on the channel said it's not going to work. So it's just really important that that 3-meter walkway is really, it'll make a community. You know, I just think it's really important that we keep pushing forward.
Which one has the rails?
That's the Papa's.
Okay.
Now, Papa's has rails, and if you go to Granville Island, they have, they don't use a rail, but it's similar to a rail system. They call it a travel lift, where it has a machine that lifts your boat up, like this one, Papa's, and it actually takes it out over top of the water, because it has an elevated, like a bridge, and it drops the boat into the water. And people walk along there all the time as well. So the rails could be made where the concrete or the asphalt or whatever they use, gravel is built up, so it's just in line, and it shouldn't. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. I know they're very adamant that they don't want a rail trail, but that rail trail has been in the works. Like, we gave up our property at Marylanding. That was in the 90s, early 90s, 3 meters, and so it's been planned for a long time. So they should have known that when they purchased that property. Trail sometime. But other than that, I think I think you guys got everything that I'm talking about. A little bit important to the community. I know the legacy, the Main Street dock, it's important for the taxpayers. They like that. And the legacy, a lot of people don't know about the legacy dock. And people can go down there and tie their boat up just for the day. They can't, you know, they can come and go for the day. They can't leave it overnight. But at the legacy, when the dock is, part of that is public. And I know we got that little walkway all marked and everything now. Yeah, so it's good. Yeah. All righty, I think I got it all. And then for priorities, I marked my priorities, but you know, we all know what's priorities. Yeah. All right, anybody else? Deb, anybody?
Yeah, no, I did great job, and I get that you need to do things like this to whether it's accessing grant funding or just as a communication tool across, you know, like all of the different people involved in the community, and that in terms of, yeah, this is our priorities. And I think it's good information to get out there in front of the community. So.
Okay, great. Thanks, Deb. And I think our biggest priority is, I think, getting that walkway from the intersection at the highway and getting Public Works to, even if highways, we let them know we're going to do it, and it's not permanent, but if we could just get some proper fill in there and elevate it and even put some shale in there just to get us to the service station or the repair station and get the people, you know, around the corner, that would help if you could get them to, you know, Canby South Squaw Road. And then the other one is the legacy one is I guess you want to call Highway 97 trail. Is there any way we can get some kind of markers? I know they have them in Kimberly on some of their roads there, and they're actually just little white posts that they separate the traffic from the bicycles and the pedestrians. And if you do hit them, they fall down. And you know, it'd be nice to put them. It'd be nice to put them on the shoulder somewhere, if highways would let you. But that's really important, because I watched a lady. She was walking there the other day, and of course, with all the snow, it wasn't plowed off the road, and she's stumbling and trying to walk against the traffic, and it's really tough. And then in the wintertime, I know that would be a problem in the wintertime, having those white posts, but I think they take them out in the wintertime. I know this lady was struggling, and gets busy in the summertime. Okay. John, you got anything?
As we keep developing down more towards 2 Mile, whatnot, we really have to start focusing on, like you're saying, the whole 97, but all the way down to 2 Mile, not just to Legacy. We've got to come up with some kind of plan to get those people safely into town too, because you know, seniors, everybody, not just winter time, but like in the summertime, a lot of seniors aren't going to walk up the dump road to go
No.
around the other way. that's a steep road and a long hike. You know, we really do need to focus on something along the highway to connect 2 Mile.
Yeah,
Like you're saying, something that's safe for everybody, like even if it's on the outside of the,
well, no posts.
yeah, exactly. Something of some sort definitely should need to be addressed for people, especially because they're also talking about the campground up there by the dump as well. Then once again, you're getting more, like then it's not even seniors, you're also getting young kids that are gonna want to go into town, right? They're, once again, that's not a safe corridor going between 2 Mile and town.
Yeah, and I know, you know, Kelly might be able to remember this. I remember when Karen was here, Williams, that they were talking about taking the 3 meters from everybody's property all the way along in front of the Legacy, right through Bonavista, Vista, and then even up, and they talked about doing a walkway along the highway. And I mean, and I can think it's just kind of got dropped over the years because it's just
A lot of work, a lot of money.
it's a lot of money too.
Yeah.
But I did, I've sent pictures to Greg Kylo and at that time it was probably Evan, that the corner on the corner between when you leave Bonavista and you come down along the lake and you go around that corner and Sycamoose Houseboats is there, you see it when you go around the corner. That on the other side of the barriers, all that fill is undermining the road. And even Rick, who drives the school bus, can feel it when he drives the school bus along there. He feels there's some humps in the road there. But if you're on the outside and you're in your boat and you look up, it's actually undermining and you can see right underneath the highway. And I sent pictures to Greg Kylo and
Where is that?
it's right on the
Along the rock,
right on the
that crown piece.
it's just right here, right where that arrow is, all along there. It's undermining the road and they have gone in and put some rock in there, but it keeps undermining. So so if they ever decided to do a big repair on that corner, it would be good for them to put a whole bunch of rock in there and then you could put a walkway on the top of it. That would be good. That would be good. But anyway, that's a big project.
I think like a lot of these things, we could just add them in and identify them on the map. And then we'll wait to hear from the rest of council and then probably bring it back before the April council meeting.
Okay.
I think some of these bigger ones that it's like where it is kind of pinched like that could also kind of bleed over into the master transportation plan in terms of like road widening and right, because that like some rock scaling would be great section, and that would give more room to kind of move over and come away from the lake. Maybe provide a space for pedestrian.
Yeah, that's a pretty scary corner. We've had a oil truck in the lake there. Gibson Petroleum went in there and had to have booms and everything up and it's pretty scary corner. And actually Malcolm said it doesn't even meet the highway's width criteria. And it's some of those rocks that you look up on that corner, you just feel they're going to be falling down pretty soon.
Is that an old heritage chunk of highway that the Ukrainians built?
Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have anything else on the active transportation network plan? Oh, all good? Okay, well, you can take that recommendation forward to council and that would be great. All right, adjournment. Okay, recommend that the Planning and Development Committee meeting for March 15th, 2023 be adjourned at 9:20. May I have a mover? John, seconder, Deb, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much.
It's 9:40,
Guys.
right?
Did I say 9:40?
9:20.
Oh, 9:20.
Yeah, I thought it was, I didn't think it was, yeah. You guys.
Thanks very much, Deb.
Yeah.
Great.